Good morning. Morning, good morning. Good old WHLR. See this one pop up every now and then. What is that high? Wow. Is that 450 billion all-time high? Pretty funny. EMD or second leading gainer. Yeah, none of these are looking very strong this morning. They look like they're on downtrend to me. Good morning. All right. Time to focus. I was just reading some comments on my last video. Which reminds me, I am going to change my hotkey to sell 1/2 instead of 1/3. Where is it? Oh, bit. Okay. XPON moving a little bit. I'm worried it's a little bit exhausted. Fourth day of continuation. I was up at 1184. Seem to be holding that ascending support line. X slab. Should it be? I don't see it anywhere. Well, there's no data on the daily chart, so this is probably some sort of special ticker. AMD moving. Doesn't have any news. It's the high. It's some resistance. Morning. Big selling candle. Now, someone mentioned to me that maybe a extra order window would solve my problem with my order entry. Quantity should be 50. Price increment should be 10. Morning, good morning. So if I move this here, can you see that? Yeah, you can. I suppose we're going to try this separate order entry window, see if there are any problems with it. You didn't follow the rule of spicy food? Not really. I mean, AEMD was sort of an opportunity for the breakthrough VWAP, but kind of a B quality opportunity. Shopping around right now. I think spicy food can apply on Fridays and Saturdays, so I thought about it. I'm going to have spicy chicken fingers today after stream, since the effect would be tomorrow, and then Saturday would the effect would be on Sunday. So we got Fridays and Saturdays for spicy food. You only had to wait one day. Yeah, it looks like this is just going sideways for right now. Maybe if it breaks through 350, but then it has a daily level at 375. Yeah, it's got like 20-cent increments to move. 25-cent increments. This one doesn't have very big range. WXM. Chinese stock with no news. Moving averages at 835. Came down from a big red day a few days ago. A big pop. Morning, Damien. There's a couple things we're going to try today. We're going to try this new order entry window and see if my enter button actually works with it. I've never actually tried using the separate simple order entry window before. And I changed my take profit hotkey to sell half instead of sell 1/3 because of all these pop and drops we've been having. But we just need something to start moving. One half, 1/3. Well, I have 1/4. I have a half and a quarter right now. But it's in percentages. So for example, if I take 1/2 off the table, so like 100 down to 50, then the next time that I take profit 50%, it'll be a quarter of my original position since half was already taken away. 50% times 50% is 25%. So it takes half off and takes a quarter off. Or if I, the only exception is if I punch the order twice, you kind of take profit order. So if I punch 2 quarter take profit orders, it'll both be the same amount of shares. Then it'll execute 50 shares. Whereas if I just do one take profit, it'll be a quarter. Morning, Jess. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of hotkeys. I haven't been using a lot of them recently, though. I used some of them a lot more before. In fact, when I was in the simulator, I actually had my numpad set up with modifiers to take profit 1 cent below every single dollar level from 2 up to $20. I can't do that on Trade Zero. Otherwise, I would actually consider doing that again, but because I can't set take profit at specific prices, right? Yeah, I can only do low, high, average price, last, ask, or bid. I can't preset the price. It's a Trade Zero to a specific dollar. But I do have regular take profit orders and stuff. Morning. Are we curling? I mean, it's almost round trip. I'm not really too interested in it. Would I like to set take profit on a specific level? Well, I found it very interesting before. Say, for example, I enter at $3, and I already know when I'm entering a trade what my profit target is for a 2-to-1, right? Um, so theoretically, let's say I enter a 3 and my first profit target's at 350 if it's moving quickly. What I tried out in the simulator for a while was I would set a take profit target at 349 using my numpad. So, for example, once like I would set the hotkey to be 1 cent below the psychological level of support or resistance. On the numpad, a 1 would be $1. Alt 1 would be $1.50, 2 would be $2, Alt 2 would be $2.50, and so forth, right? 3, 3.50, 4, 4.50. So if I wanted to set a take profit at 3.50, i.e. 3.49, since you put it 1 cent below in case there's a whole bunch of sellers sitting at 3.50, then I would press Alt 3 as soon as I enter the position, in case it spikes immediately and then it takes profit. The downside to doing that is that if you enter a position and it spikes up $1 a share, you're limiting your upside. But the bonus is if you top tick it, like if it bounces off 350 and then comes back down to 330, then you're top ticking profit. There's pros and cons to it, but I can't do that with TradeZero anyways. There's only specific brokers that you could do that with if they let you set keys to specific dollar amounts. Have I ever thought about trading on the 5-minute chart? I do trade on the 5-minute chart sometimes. Occasionally I'll take 5-minute bull flags, ABCD patterns. But it's a little bit too slow, I think, for me. So, I mean, if this holds 710, this could be a reverse head and shoulders pattern. Inverse head and shoulders for the breakthrough VWAP. Well, you combine hotkeys with an offset, but you can't set it to a specific dollar amount. Like if we're at $3 on the ask, right? If I want to make a hotkey that's sets a limit order to sell at $9.99, I can't do that on TradeZero. Hey, what's up, Kegio? How long have I been trading? About 13 months. Every time a new month rolls over, I add an extra month. Since I started basically at the beginning of August 2025. So when it rolls around to September, we're 13 months trading. Good catch, adversary. I didn't even look at the daily. At 8. Yeah, I know some traders that use the 5 minute. I mean, I was thinking about using the 5 minute and the 9 EMA more. Using the 9 EMA for an identifier of whether the stock's extended and then kind of trading off of it, but I'm not entirely sure. I would require like a significant change to my current process. I don't want to strategy hop. I need to try and see if I can make this work, and then maybe add some setups. I can explain it in Notepad. This was a theory of mine. We'll remove that. Probably should have checked that it wasn't gonna pop anything up. I forgot that Notepad sometimes does that. So where is Notepad? There we go. So you have your numpad, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have modifiers like shift plus one of those numbers, or control plus one of those numbers, or alt plus one of those numbers, right? So let's say we set shift to 50 cents or 49 cents in between each of those numbers. We set control to add a 0. So instead of $1, control adds a 0 to it, so it's $10. You can do all this all the way up to $20, for example, or up to 19. And alt adds a 0 and 49 cents. So the way this would work would be on your numpad, if you press 1, right, that would be set profit at $1. But it would be you would set it to 99 cents. Right? 1 cent below that level, because there's usually a lot of orders sitting on that psychological level. So you're just undercutting them by a cent. If you press shift plus 1 equals set profit at 149, right? Because shift adds 49 cents to that number on your numpad. If you do alt plus 1 equals set profit at $9.99, control plus 1, or sorry, that would be not alt, this would be control plus 1 based on what I set up here. And then alt plus 1 equals set profit at 10.49. So that was the idea that I had when I traded in the simulator and I was able to do this, is that you could do this on your numpad and set profit targets undercutting by maybe 1 or 2 cents wherever you want. You're trading between $1 and $20, right? to try and top tick certain levels of psychological support or resistance. So if you're getting into a position at, like I said earlier, $3, and you wanted to set a profit target to top tick 350 because you think that there's a significant level of psychological resistance there, or maybe you just want to set a profit target preemptively for 2R to try and top tick it off of the bounce, and then you would hit shift +3 to set it at 349. Right, that was the idea. But I can't do this in Trade Zero. And like I said, there are some pros and cons to doing that, in the sense that if it blows past 350, then you miss out on some profit. And if it doesn't hit 350 or 349, and maybe it stalls out just a little bit before at like 340, then you have to cancel your order and then quickly do a quick profit target, or not a profit target. You have to cancel it and then do a quick scalp as you recognize that it's not going to reach 350, for example, where you set your limit profit target. That's the idea anyways. Yeah, it's pretty logical too. Like every number on a keyboard is a certain dollar level, and then you just have to remember what the modifiers do for that number. Add a 0, add 50 cents, add 0 and 50 cents. So this is right below $8. Like I said earlier, this could be a reverse head and shoulders pattern if it like breaks through 8 and squeezes. I'm not sure about it, since it pulled back so far and it's right below the 200. This is a biotech stock with private placement news, but yeah, it was pretty fun in the simulator to have resting sell orders like that, because there were occasions where I did top tick price and I was like, ooh, it feels good. Yeah, it would be easy to slip up. Like, say for example, you intend to set a profit target for 350, but because they're all limit orders, right? If you accidentally hit the 2 instead of the 3, you're going to immediately sell your position. Like the profit target's immediately going to fill if you fat finger and you hit 2 instead of 3, because the limit order will be below current price. So there was potential for error, since they're auto send. You could make it not auto send. Like you could make them all setup orders and then and then verify it and then press the enter button to go. Um, or like whatever else, what other hotkey you had, like that is possible too. If you're not in a rush. The only downside is what I used to do was I would enter a position and simultaneously press the limit order button to scalp out at a certain level. So like I would preemptively have my hand on the modifier that I wanted to use. So I would enter and then I would immediately press the limit order button. So there was really no chance for slip up because I was already had my hand on it. I already knew what profit target I wanted to set as I got into the position. And sometimes it worked really well. Occasionally though, like I said, it just blows past that level and then you're missing out on like 50 cents a share. I did slip up a couple of times though, especially when I was new to using that sort of hotkey thing because it was, it's not complicated, but there is a lot of buttons, so you don't have any muscle memory. Yeah, thanks, Jimore. Yeah, I woke up and I read the comments quick. I wasn't able to answer them yet, but I appreciate the feedback. I haven't taken any trades yet, so I don't know if it's going to solve the problem, but if it does solve the problem, then I'm happy you commented. What about a modifier key and then mouse click? Either snap to the nearest level or make a line that you can adjust. You could do that too. It's just going to be slower, right? If you're fine with it being a little bit slower, then you could do that. Like I said, what I did was also intended to scalp out quickly, like very quickly. You know how Raw sometimes enters a position breakout or bailout? Like you could even, if you have enough modifier keys that you're used to using, you could even set profit targets at like 325. You want to add that many. So like if you do a breakout or bailout, you jump in at 290 and simultaneously you're setting a profit target for 325 or 324. So that when it breaks through, it top ticks that. And then if it reverses, then you just get out break even for the rest. If you think that it's going to pop and reverse or if you are getting into an extended position, so like if getting into a bull flag and it's a little bit extended, and the high is near the next half or whole dollar of resistance, then you enter the position, set the profit target simultaneously, and then as it pops up and rejects off that level, it takes profit. I think what he does, what Ross does though, is he has like plus 10 cent, plus 20 cent, 30 cent, 40 cent, 50 cent profit targets. So he'll enter a position and then he'll immediately press a profit target button 10 cents over the current ask price. It's really tricky to do though. It requires intuition on how much it's going to go up. Sometimes, yeah, he is like super fast reflex and he like immediately presses the sell on the ask as it pops up. But it's hard to know when it's going to reject and when it's going to keep going sometimes. You downloaded his Lightspeed hotkeys. He has a few take profits, but for market open. He probably does it as he goes, yeah, but I specifically remember him either talking about it or seeing it in his window, where sometimes you'll say as price is moving quickly. Like for example, fresh breaking news and he's adding to the position. Sometimes he'll set take profit 10 cents above, like ahead of the current ask price, right? So that it becomes a non-marketable limit order. And as price is moving up and hits that level, then it's kind of sitting on the ask and um, it gets bought up. So it's green on the tape. And he gets a little bit extra out of it that way because if it's moving very quickly, there's no reason to scalp out like right on the ask because you could be missing out on 10 cents if it goes up another 10 cents. And you could apply the same sort of logic, like if it's moving in 20, 30, 40 cent share increments, throw up a 20-cent profit target, 30-cent profit target as it's moving quickly, and you think that it might start stalling out, but, or maybe not that you think it's going to start stalling out, but maybe you want to take profit, you want to take some profit, but it's still moving quickly. Instead of hitting it directly on the ask or the bid, you can throw up a 20-cent profit target order, and it continues to move higher since it's already moving quickly. That order is probably going to get filled. And it shows as green on the tape. Yeah, you have to be very fast. If you throw out profit targets and they don't fill, then you have to have your cancel order button ready. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's pretty boring so far. Got 12 minutes to 8 a.m., but it is Friday. Lightspeed cancels the orders. Yeah, every broker's different. Trade Zero, just the other day, I had some profit target orders out that I haven't used in a long time, and I went to go sell on the bid, and it said, "Nope, sorry, you got to cancel your orders, buddy." You woke up early for this. Well, hopefully in the next 45 minutes, market compensates you for waking up. Dang, I would like some donuts. I've been trying to keep the sugary stuff out of the house because I'm trying to exercise, get healthier. But donuts sound good. And we never know. We never know, sportive. There have been times where we've had 300% moves on Friday. This is also holding $7, so I am tempted to take a squeeze through VWAP. MACD's turning positive. It's a very obvious reverse inverse head and shoulders pattern on the 5 minute. If it breaks 766, 200 EMA is right there, but you could still scalp out 40 cents. And then if it breaks 8, maybe it squeezes up. I don't know. The only thing moving right now, I'll give it that. Declining volume though on the 5 minute. Other than this big squeeze. You guys think I should be patient? Probably. It probably pulled back too far. The high's all the way up at 1080, but let me read this article. What kind of private placement is it? 50 million. Doing 6 million. I mean, the ADSs are $6.10. Reading that correctly. Oh, combined purchase price, no, 488. I mean, it's above what the private placement was. don't know. Doesn't seem that fantastic to me, but VWAP. This would be the time that I would enter, if any. Looks like it's rejecting. It's not VWAP, it's VWAP. They call it VWAP because it gave people a good whopping just now on that projection candle. Might still come back up though. I did watch Ross's naked short selling video yesterday since so many people have been mentioning it. It was very interesting. Putting into context that Memex seller that I saw from January to March, that was just abnormal. Can you share links? Um, I'm probably able to get permission in the YouTube studio somehow. I'm not sure how. I don't mind people sharing links in the Discord for sure. Let's see. Am I able to give permission? I don't know how. I'm still a novice YouTuber. You can put the links in the Discord though. That's usually what the Discord is for, sharing pictures, links, whatever else you can't put in the YouTube chat for everyone. I watch SMB Capital's channel though, occasionally. They got some interesting stuff. We got 1 minute to 8 a.m. Hopefully we get some news or something. Yeah, not switching to mid and large caps, but um trading both at the same time, trading small caps and large caps. So like pre-market, I would probably trade small caps. Regular market hours, I might trade like some variation of strategy, either like orb strategy or if there's a good large caps strategy that I find that I want to try out during regular market hours. So trying both at once, casting a wide net. Morning, Jaden. 'Morning, Grace. 4 a.m. pre-market starts 10 a.m. That would be interesting. Trading 4 a.m. When you sit down in the morning at 7 a.m., you notice how many big movers there are at 4 a.m. that end up just going sideways, or even after hours. Like this was a pretty big mover after hours, AEMD, 2 all the way up to 340. Of course, it's on a little bit lighter volume earlier in the day. It makes it a bit more challenging, a bit choppier, but there's quite a few big movers in after hours and 4 a.m. I would almost think that you could probably trade at like 4 to 5 a.m. and then go eat and then come back for 7 a.m. Yeah, they're always on pretty light volume, but some of them squeeze from like $2 up to $16 because they're on such light volume. Because there's not as many short sellers, I guess. I don't know though. I've never traded at 4 a.m. It's way too early for me. Just a guess. What time do I normally stop watching? I do have to work right after I finish streaming, usually. So it kind of depends on the day. If there's anything worth watching at the market open that's gapped up quite a bit and has news, and I'll stick around for a little bit longer after market open until like 9:45, 10 sometimes. Some days I have no choice because I have meetings or I have to go into the office at my work. I have to leave by like 9. And then sometimes I just get off at like 9:15 if there's nothing interesting to watch at market open. So my day start streaming every day at 7 and I try to stream for at least 2 hours. But any longer is kind of just variable depending on the day. No, I'm not profitable. I had a good stretch recently where I had 3 good green weeks in a row, and then I tried sizing up, and then I had a nasty red week, and I had to size back down. And this week, I'm down on the week as well, since I had 2 green days, like just very small, trying to recover psychologically from that nasty red week. And then on Wednesday, I had a max loss day. And yesterday, we figured something needed to change. So we removed our 10-second chart, and now we're testing, trading with the 1-minute chart only. So we're still learning and trying to improve our process. Trading with small share size. Yeah, pretty lame today so far. It is what it is. What do I think my biggest hurdle to profitability is currently? My fear of loss, right? When I think about my strengths, my my biggest strength in trading is my discipline currently, my ability to not average down to losing trades, not be a bag holder, cut my losers. When I look at my statistics, my average hold time for my winning trades are 2 minutes, and my average holding time for my losing trade is less than a minute. And I have a 1.5 to 1 profit to loss ratio on average. But my accuracy is poor, I think, because I'm not quick enough to capitalize on many of the really good opportunities. So I have some fear of loss. And what happens, or what has happened in the past, was I would miss the big move because I would hesitate on something on the front side of the move when it was actually moving quickly on the highest probability part of the move, right? Those first 3 1-minute candles and fresh breaking news, or a fresh move in general. I would miss that part of the move because I would hesitate. I wouldn't capture very much of it. And then I get a little bit of FOMO, but not necessarily FOMO. I think on the backside of the move, it is moving a lot slower, so it feels safer. You know, when we're doing curling patterns, we're doing consolidation patterns, or we're on continuation, it feels like it's safer because it's not moving as quickly. There's identifiable levels of support and resistance. And because of that, I enter those positions, but they tend to be a lot choppier and have less probability of working. So even though it feels safer, it's not actually safer, it's actually riskier. And so that's why my accuracy is so bad, I think, is because I've been trading more curling patterns than I have been trading the opportunities that actually matter, because I hesitate on the opportunities that matter since they feel risky. They're moving quickly. I don't have confirmation of levels of support. I need to identify that myself in the moment in real time as I'm reading the news, as I'm reading the float, as I'm trying to determine whether the stock is worth trading. There's a lot of things I need to keep track of, and that keeps me out of trades when it matters. And then I end up later on the backside where the accuracy and the probability of it working is not as high, and also it requires a greater level of technical analysis to be successful in those trades. There were also certain things that I was previously ignoring about curling patterns, like these trend lines, which way it's actually trending. So I end up fighting the trend sometimes, which also decreased my accuracy. So, summary, my strength is discipline. I do have a strength in technical analysis and being able to select the right stocks and be patient. However, my fear of loss, like I had when I was keeping my tally of missed opportunities, I was at like 40 or something in just 5 weeks. 40 missed opportunities because of hesitation or for one reason or another where I just missed it. Maybe because of there were a few in there that were like technical issues and stuff where I had to switch charts and this and that. But, maybe 3/4 of those were actually just me not pushing the button, even though I identified that it was a potential opportunity. And all of those were like 50 cent to $1 per share moves. If you put that into perspective, I can understand that my strategy and my process is profitable, but the limiting factor is me. Right? If I even capture half of those more than I usually do, like 20 missed opportunities that if I had taken the courage to take, and I capture even just a fraction of those 50 cent dollar per share moves, I would be profitable right now by a significant margin in the past 5 weeks. And on the flip side, right, we're not even counting the red that happens because of the butterfly effect that we experience when we take bad trades. If we start the day taking a good trade, then we're less inclined to take bad trades later in the day, take riskier trades on curling patterns that are chopping around because we get frustrated, we get impatient. There is a significant butterfly effect that goes on when you actually miss good opportunities, and then you feel like later in the day you're sitting and you haven't taken any trades, and you're more likely to jump in and lose on something. It's just a cascading effect. That's what I'm dealing with. Sorry, long-winded rant, but that's how I feel right now. Seems so simple to solve. Yeah, your mind is a difficult thing to do or to control. We're fighting against our own instincts as humans when we're trading. Yeah, just unsure of the initial move and then hesitate and then trade on FOMO. Yeah, it's like every day for me at this point. So yesterday I made a decision to do something drastic to my process to break myself out of a habit. I was relying on the 10-second chart to get me into trades, and was kind of feeding my hesitation, I feel like. So we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone right now to try and break out of our habit of hesitation. And when I look at the 1 minute chart on fresh breaking news and I just see a big fat green candle and nothing else, I should be thinking, I want to jump into this. If it's got 5 pillars and it's holding a certain level that I identify in the level 2, I see fat green candle. There's no um, false negatives jumping out at me. Just take the courage, enter with smaller size while we're still getting used to it. That's what I'm trying to do right now. We'll see if it actually works or not, but Enon, is this fresh news? Announces pricing of 3 million private placement offering. A room 20%. Doesn't have enough volume yet. Pop and drop. Oh, I almost tried using my normal level 2 window. I have to get used to that. Using the extra order entry window. Breaking through. $740. $720. I'm not sure about it because private placement news haven't been working very well recently. And still on lighter volume as well. That candle was a bit better, but Nice for whoever got that. One thing I'm going to quickly do is switch to the 10-second chart and see if there was an obvious pullback on it after the fact. So, I mean, this pulled all the way from 818 down to 719. And I didn't see it bounce a second time off of 719, so I didn't feel like there was any safe entry on it. What I like to see is I like to see it bounce off of a specific level twice. Higher volume selling on this 1 minute candle. You traded the break of 7 when you saw volume exceeded the previous volume bar. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Because this is technically what I think Jess would call a wick reclaim setup. It pops up, pulls back, and then despite this rejection, it comes up and reclaims the wick. With strength and volume. I always get wary though whenever we pop up when we have a rejection like that, and then it pulls all the way back down. I always get worried that thinking the opposite, right? That it's going to pop up and then reject off of that level again. I read the news. It's $3 million private placement offering. Usually, like, that's not a very strong headline anymore. I'm surprised that this even was able to reclaim the wick rather than just sell off on a Friday. Gonna be honest. When it reclaimed the top and broke 7, you can see the level 2 full of buyers. Wooden knife. Yeah, I'll go back and watch the VOD on this later. My recording for this type of wick reclaim sort of setup. Oh, was XPON the private placement? Maybe private placements are back in business. But, you know, you can just make sure you're in on the first 3 candles and not the backside of them. Although XPON held up, but yeah, pop, round trip, reclaim, wick reclaim, which is high of day. Have to be quick, yeah. It is a setup, I know, wick reclaim. Because it stops out a lot of short sellers, and then you get a squeeze. Even though this headline wasn't very strong, and you could see it round tripped after anyways. We'll see if it curls back up here since it's still holding the 20 EMA. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. But even though it did have this squeeze, it doesn't necessarily mean it's that strong. It just means that there was a lot of buyers in the moment that squeezed out the short sellers a decent amount, in my opinion. Let me go back and read. I think there was a comment that I missed that I didn't answer yet, right? Like the way it bounced off the EMA 9 there, the first red candle. The volume is still like super light for me, but have a good day, Devin, if you haven't already left. Um, that's Ross making a shit ton of money. Momentum pullback asked 90% of it is psychological. How long did I spend in a simulator? And was I profitable there? Well, I actually started the stream in the simulator. If anyone were to go back and look at when I started streaming back in April, I started in a simulator for a couple of months. April and March at least, probably midway through June as well. I was in a simulator, 2.5, 3 months. And then I wasn't profitable, but I was doing well enough that I decided to make the swap to real money again. I was trading with real money before I went into the simulator to seriously backtest. And the reason was that I needed that time in the simulator to build the habit of cutting my losses without actually being profitable. So I took a risk-oriented mindset and I set a 5-cent stop on every single trade, regardless of the outcome, regardless of whether it made me profitable or not. Focused on my entry timing and setting a 5-cent stop. So I built that initial habit of cutting my losses. And then I built onto that habit by then making the stops make sense. Instead of a 5-cent arbitrary stop, I would start calling out loud where my stop should be, like, specific levels, low of the pullback, psychological support, actual support. And then I did that for a month, and then I started calling out profit targets. And so I built that habit in the simulator because I understood that my psychology and discipline was one of my limiting factors, but there was no reason to do that and lose money in a live environment. But once I got the hang of that, and I spent 2.5, 3 months in the simulator again to ensure that I built that habit, I went back to real money because I wanted to test my emotions. I had already been trading at that point for 7 or 8 months, and I had the knowledge. And I knew that the limiting factor for me was my psychology. So after a certain point, you have enough experience. For me, it was about working on my own psychology. And in a simulated environment, it's hard to do that. Well, let's see if he traded it or not. I feel like he probably didn't. Oh, he trading members dashboard. No, he didn't. He didn't trade it. He traded X Lab, but his chart's covering his P&L right now for whatever reason. Didn't pay attention much to news for quick poppers like this. Maybe that is true. I mean, it would certainly simplify my process, right? I switch charts and I already identify on my scanners whether it's worth even pulling up. If I see a big green candle, then it would make it faster to trade the price action rather than read the news. But I probably got to read the news at some point, not ignore it entirely, I think, right? How long have I been watching Ross? Well, I've been watching him since I started trading. I don't keep his stream on the side anymore, really, unless people ask me to like check his P&L and stuff. But when like I don't pay for the live mentorship for another couple of months because I did buy his course way back when I was a beginner, first starting out. It's about to expire soon, so I still have access to it for free. Once that runs out, I'm not going to pay for it though. I don't actively watch him anymore. I just try to make my own decisions. order book level 2. Yeah, you use the that sort of price ladder level 2 almost. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a bit easier to visually identify the levels of support underneath you on that type of order book window. In Trade Zero, we just have the typical level 2 order book like this. When did I start? Back in August 2025. I did go through his full course, but I tried to take my knowledge from multiple sources if I can. Well, it's difficult in our YouTube environment where there's so many scammers that you have to take the knowledge that you're bringing into yourself with a grain of salt. But there are a few different sources that I tried to take information from. How many rows of level 2 ideally required? Well, more is better, in my opinion. I think Trade Zero only has 7 rows or so. Like right now, it's only showing 6. But the minimum, I don't know. I think it depends on how thickly traded the stock is, right? Sometimes when it's thickly traded, you can have multiple, like it's harder to see the depth because you have so many orders stacked on different exchanges at a certain price. Like it could be 631, for example, here showing like 7 times in a row. But on some occasions there will be like 5 that are stacked, and then the 6th and the 7th will show the big seller that's sitting there just above your current price. I don't know about if there's like a minimum that's required, but I think more rows is generally better. It shows extra depth of the market. Sometimes you'll end up trading blind. You don't have if you only have like 2 rows. I don't know. I think though that it's you can probably just trade with the first row and you're fine. Probably just the first row and you're fine, but you will end up trading blinds sometimes, but that's fine, I guess. As long as you cut your losses quick when price starts reversing on you. You might miss the exit indicator sometimes if there's a big seller, but it would just be what it do be. What is this? An A? That's not the right stock. Wondering what. Sometimes I have to manually type it in. This doesn't look very interesting. Dog is upside down in his bed beside me. He likes coming down and napping. We're bored, so we're posting Pickup Doggo. Have a good one, Jaden. Yeah, it's the same for me, K-Man. I was worried that it was just a market giving handouts. Yeah, June was insane. Like the every single Chinese stock that was in existence on the Nasdaq popped up at least 100%, just like popping without any news, just randomly. And it didn't make any sense to me at the time because I was like, how do I even know what to trade these? They're popping up and then they're just rejecting. They're not even holding up. Because back at that time, I still wasn't trading 10-second micro pullbacks. I was trading all 1 minute patterns. Do I recommend ChartsWatcher Pro or Advanced? Well, the Advanced grants access to the 10-second charts and export-import configs, which allow you to import scanners and stuff already set up for you. I think they have some presets that I was recently looking at that Scott, who is I think the owner of ChartsWatcher, has. Be similar to Day Trade Dash. You can also import configs from like myself if I give the export config for which I did. And it also gives 250 millisecond chart refresh rate and a decent number of dashboards that you're allowed to have at once. So I have the advanced. The upgrade, or sorry, I have the advanced. I think the upgrade is pro, right? Pro is the highest level, if I remember correctly, which gives, more dashboards or whatever. I mean, I don't think you need that many dashboards. It also gives 1 millisecond, like, sorry, not 1 millisecond, tick by tick chart refresh rates, which is faster than 250, but I think that it's not necessary to have tick by tick refresh rates since you're primarily watching level 2 and using the chart for context, in my opinion. So, I mean, I think the Pro has a few upgrades that are, it's a lot more expensive for upgrades that I don't think are worth it for most people. So I would recommend the Advance if you're going to use a 10-second chart. But even maybe the tier down is fine if you're not using the 10-second chart or the export import configs and you just want to set it up yourself. There's probably enough dashboards there. I would read it, make sure there's enough like dashboards and stuff available for the setup that you want. Sorry to hear that, Illusion. Happy weekend to you too. Yeah, we're already close to 9. It's probably going to be a no trade day for me if there's nothing that pops up at 9. The dashboards on the left are from Charts Watcher. So I pay for Charts Watcher and I configured them myself with a little bit of help from Eli on certain scanners. Hey, Jesus. Yep, I'm doing well. No trades means I'm not red. So not being red means we're doing well. That's what I'm hoping, Chimera, is that money I lose right now is going to be made back in the future once I am profitable, as soon as I start sizing up. Morning, base hit. Base hit trader. Yeah, it looks like even Ross only took one trade on X Lab this morning. So, I mean, Tnon was sort of an opportunity for a wick reclaim here, but I wasn't sure about it because the news was not that great. I wonder what X Lab was. I think Ross traded it at 7 a.m. for this breakthrough VWAP, I guess. This wasn't even on my scanners for whatever reason. I don't know why this wasn't on my scanners. It's fine though. I probably wouldn't have even traded it anyway. I'm not sure why Ross even took a trade on this. The volume was really, really light. You have a daily chart on Trading View. Oh, it's an IPO? The IPO'd today? I didn't. That's interesting. Hmm. Oh, name change. I'm paying for Charts Watcher. There are some um free YouTube channels that run some Charts Watcher scanners. Um, One of my friends in the trading community, Doom Trades, runs a scanner. I have it linked in the Discord. There's other scanners too that are free on YouTube if you need a free one, or you just want to see how it works. You can look at it. But I pay for my subscription. And I think Charts Watcher actually allows 30 minutes a day of free use. You can actually download Charts Watcher and like trial it every day for 30 minutes. Deep fried nothing. Discipline is easy when there's nothing moving. Sorry, Baco. Looks like you did wake up for nothing. No compensation today. Well, we'll see. We got 3 minutes to 9 a.m. Basically, last chance for news, but somehow I doubt it. Have I used Bookmap? I looked at Bookmap. That seems more of a tool for large cap trading. Stocks that are regularly traded. And maybe I'll try it someday when I'm looking to trade and experiment with other types of trading. I'm curious how much he made on it. He's covering his P&L right now. Am I always scalping in the 1 minute and 5 minute chart? Well, I just removed my 10-second chart yesterday. And I'm primarily using the 1 minute chart in conjunction with the level 2 right now while I'm trying to build good habits and focus on tape reading and imagining in my mind, simulating in my mind as we're pulling back to certain levels what it would look like on the 10-second chart just by reading the level 2. So I am doing inside candle scalping sometimes, just based off of level 2 reading. The 5 minute chart I don't use as much for entries because it's a bit slower. But I will keep in mind how extended the 5 minute is off the 9 EMA. And sometimes if it's forming a bull flag or an ABCD pattern on the 5 minute, I would consider taking a position using the 5. Or even a 5 minute micro pullback occasionally. 5 minute breakout. but mostly, primarily the 1 minute right now. No, I don't think I need any more exponential moving averages. I think the 9 is probably sufficient, and then the 20 EMA or 200 EMA on the daily. I like to keep things simple if I can. Don't need too many indicators. One minute, 15 minute, and 30 minute. Mm, Sometimes I'll check the 15 minute if I'm trading at market open. I don't know about the 30 minute though. I think that's a little bit too long of a time frame for someone like me that's scalping in and out of trades fast. At a certain point, we don't care about like the bigger time frames, the hour-long time frame, 30-minute time frame, because we can still find opportunities inside uh, those time frames. We're not trend traders. But I would use it if I was trading, probably trading large caps or orb. I think orb uses the 15-minute time frame. And then large cap traders like to use the hour-long time frame. Hey, what's up, Ronald? Syracuse, New York. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, sorry to hear about your loss, Ronald. Yeah, today I think for most people this would probably be a no trade day. If you're trading only pre-market, who knows? Maybe there will be some opportunity during regular market hours. But I feel like today was just a big nothing burger. Well, here's a penny stock that's moving. I mean, that news isn't bad. You like trading penny stocks? I don't particularly like trading penny stocks. I mean, the NRX moving off of backside of a big drop. Not up enough on the day. Israel company. No news. See quality setup. I think I'm good on this one. Very good day today. Well, I'm glad it's good for you. I think most others in this chat are not thinking it's so good today. It's all perspective, I guess, right? Some people are happy picking up a penny off the side of the street. Yeah, I suppose some some are really experienced at picking up pennies, and they pick up a bunch of pennies, and it turns out to be a good day when you pick up enough of them, right? So Ahmed must be very skilled in this type of market. Holy smokes. Yeah, I saw XLab is the only thing that Ross traded. It wasn't even on my scanners though. Someone mentioned it in my chat, but I couldn't even verify like what it was since it wasn't on my scans. And it looked to me like it had nothing on the daily. Probably because this is a zero float. I'm guessing since this is a ticker change, it registered as a zero float stock and charts watcher. And I just filter out for those. That's my guess. So I'll watch QNRX for a trade if it breaks through VWAP maybe. 750 up to 8 for a trend break. Because it seems to be uptrending. As long as it continues holding this support. Had a couple of rejections back here, but it was while I was forming the trend. You know, at the end of the day, this is our second leading gainer, and it has some news. So if it continues holding, it might give us a small scalp up to 8, maybe. We'll see. Have to. It depends on how this 5-minute candle forms. CDT. This 5 a.m. news. I wasn't moving. That volume. And what are you mad at, Ahmed? It's still a pretty good trade. We bounce off that descending resistance. So this is actually a good thing because if we actually break through 750 after bouncing off of the descending resistance, we have an extra tap to confirm that this is in fact a trend break. If this candle filled the wedge, we confirm that this is a descending resistance trend line. So if we break out of it and we break 750, then our likelihood of working, in my humble opinion, what day trade dash scanner most closely matches my scanner? Well, I have my running up scan, high of day Momo scan. Those are pretty much the same as Ross's running up and high of day momentum. So those are the ones that I use the most often. I also have a 5-pillar scan, similar to Ross's 5-pillar scan. I mean, all of them are pretty similar to what he has, right? Like I came from Day Trade Dash. I used Day Trade Dash for a long time until I switched to Charts Watcher as a cheaper option, since Ross's scanners plus charts are $280 Canadian a month. So I configured it to be most of them be like his. Now, I'd be curious, there in the import export configs that Charts Watcher has just stock, in there they have some preset scanners that are supposed to be exactly like Ross's scanners. I'd be curious to open that up and see if there's any settings that I missed when I set up my scanners. Yeah, I'm thinking just my, not financial advice, but my personal opinion here. If we continue holding this ascending support, we fill this wedge and then we break through the trend line, I probably buy somewhere around 745, 750 to anticipate the squeeze through VWAP. But we have the 200 EMA at $8, so I would probably just do a quick scalp. And we have some previous rejections back here that we need to be aware of, but this is a wedge formation. Have a good one, Tex. Bouncing off of the ascending resistance again, or the descending resistance, sorry. We got 30 seconds left to that 5-minute candle close. Still bouncing off of that descending resistance on the 5-minute. We'll see. We close and then break through 740, 740, 740, 745. We'll see if we get the squeeze through VWAP or not. It's still moving very slowly on light volume. But if we continue holding up, eventually there will be interest. In my opinion. Morning, human. Yeah, I'm waiting for the break of the trend line. Right now we're still bumping up against the trend line. We saw the wall of orders at 740 there. You get 2,000 share sellers sitting at 740. So I'm waiting to see like if the trend line needs, or the wedge needs to be filled a little bit more. But I expect, or I hope, that if we break 740, 745, that we'll see the squeeze through VWAP. Because this is our second leading gainer and has news, and it's been holding up in this ascending support line. It is close to market open, which is the only other thing. Okay, we broke There's not very much volume. Take a position, stop is 730. Just anticipating volume to come in. It might need to retest. Got some bidders stacking there. We'll see what it does. Slowly getting bought up. View up is at 750. Oh, it took my eyes off for a second. This is moving super slow. That's scary. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop out. I have to get rid of profit target. 1 second. So it looks like it didn't work. Is what it is. Gave it a shot. So I suppose one of the important things on these trend breaks is it needs to break with volume. It only broke with 40,000 shares of volume, then it just stalled out close to market open. Sometimes there are cases where it breaks out of a trend and then it gets volume. Like after a few seconds, it retests and then it gets volume as traders realize that this is creeping up to VWAP. But it looks like I was wrong on this trend break. I don't think it was a bad trade though. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. That's what I would have wanted. So I'm watching this. Maybe for the break back through 750 as it stabilizes here. Seems to be in a bit of a tug of war right now. We break 750. We hold. No, we're not holding. Very whippy. We have this pivot right here. 775. Broke 775. I'll take a position. There's 20 shares. Stop of 750. We've got 30 seconds left to that candle close. Looking for the squeeze up to 8. Just giving it a little bit of time. So we're closing as a big green candle in the 5-minute, right? I'll take some profit. Since we failed to break 8 there, we broke. Take the rest. Big topping tail. Just a tiny winner, the 20 shares. I will say though that it pulled all the way back to 750. My cost basis was 775. And I ended up getting maybe, what was that? Like 15 cents. The risk reward wasn't so good on that trade. I expected it to like close as a 5-minute candle and then squeeze through 8 all the way up to the halt. But it just kind of whipped around. I could have jumped in one push earlier. Hmm. Well, I bought confirmation that it was going to hold VWAP, and then I bought first candle to make a new high off of the hold of VWAP and this break of this previous pivot of 775. So if I bought earlier, then I didn't have confirmation that this was going to hold. You do pay a price for confirmation, but yeah, I was waiting to see what the 5 minute was going to close like. Since it was holding and closing as a big green candle, and I expected it to do another leg up to 825, which it did. But the first green 1 minute candle, you see it's a giant topping tail. So I was hoping that I would be risking maybe 20 cents to make 40 cents, since I could scalp out. I was going to scalp out at 820, like 820 or so, like break of 8, and then start scalping. It didn't do that. So the risk reward ended up being not so good. Yeah, you're right. The 200 moving average was there too. So I was buying technically into the 200 moving average. I don't know why I forgot about that. That's stupid. I forgot that the 200 moving average is at 8. That is kind of dumb on my part. So I'm talking about like expecting it to squeeze up to 8, 820 or whatever. Well, I mean, there's no guarantee that would happen because the 200 moving average is right there. You don't understand how I can analyze all that right before getting in? What do you mean? Oh, you mean like, do you think that I should be thinking less? Like I should just be looking at price action on the tape? Or are you saying it's a good thing that I can analyze all of that? Yeah, I suppose I'm the opposite of most people. I tend to overanalyze things, which is what is partially causing my fear of loss because I analyze everything before I get into a trade usually. If there's one thing that stands out to me as being like, well, maybe I shouldn't take this trade because of this one thing, then that lingers in the back of my mind and I'm about to take a position rather than just like watching the price action and trading off of the price action. It's like a checklist that goes on in my mind where I look at things and if there's something I don't like, it sometimes prevents me from taking trades that would have worked. Or I wait too long until the situation is perfect and then I end up getting in too high. And then sometimes, even when the situation is perfect, it rejects anyways. Because we never really know what the market is going to do since we don't have all of the information. So even perfect setups don't work all the time. So if I constantly wait for perfect setups, Um, and I don't take bets. Like I should be taking bets sometimes. If I think that it has a higher probability of working, then I should be taking a bet on it. But it's rough, difficult. Yeah, I don't scalp very much. Yeah, I do for sure, Devin. Sometimes I do, but I'm trying to fix. And we'll see what QNRX does. It closes as a big hammer. But it's bumping right up against that 200 moving average. Um, Honestly, I'm not actually finding that much of a difference because I haven't had too many opportunities to be trading on the 10-second chart solely. I'm using the level 2 to identify my levels and then the 1-minute patterns. The one thing I will say is I'm noticing my eyes are like moving to the bottom here out of habit. Try and like look at the 10-second chart that's not there sometimes. But I don't dislike it not having it there. Right now as it's consolidating, I'm mostly using the 1-minute chart anyways. Earlier on when TNON popped up, um I don't think it made a difference then. Yeah, 10-second 9 EMA is good. I had that thought too. That's one of the things that I dislike removing off of my charts is because I used to use the 10-second 9 EMA to see how well I was holding. Sometimes if it holds really, really tightly, you can see how much demand there is. I'm trading Ross's type of strategy, but Ross's like scaling in and out like he does is is not something that most people can do for a long time. You need a lot of experience to dynamically scale in and out. And Ross, I mean, people have this sort of misunderstanding. He has a 10-second chart on his screen, and like he has charts on his screen for context sometimes, but when he's taking trades, he barely even looks at his charts. He uses level 2. He doesn't, sometimes his charts are zoomed out to Narnia, or like they're not even centered on the screen. You can't even see the most recent candle, and he's like jumping in and out of trades. Like he uses the 10-second chart and shows it to people on YouTube because it gives good context of where he's jumping in. But I personally don't think he really uses it that much in the middle of trades. He might look at it to see like if there's a pattern or something, and then he's just from there forth he's using level 2. Like if he's interested in taking a position on something, like he uses the charts to get interest in whether he's taking a position, and then he's just staring at the level 2, pretty sure. Yeah, he mentions pullbacks on the 10-second chart, but he's not looking at the 10-second. It's like it's hard to explain, but when he's looking at level 2, in his mind, he is um like he's imagining those pullbacks in his mind as he's looking at level 2. Like he identifies a level where it pulls back and then he punches an order. He shows it on the 10-second chart because that's what traders can understand, right? Like if he shows level 2 and he says it pulled back to here, it's not visual. Like it's hard for people to understand what he's talking about. So he shows his 10-second charts to show exactly where it pulled back because that's kind of the visual representation of what he's looking at on level 2 as it's pulling back, right? Yeah, he sees candles and the numbers going up and down exactly. I think the exception to that is when you have context on the 1 minute chart. Like if something is consolidating and he's taking context from the 1 minute chart, he'll be looking at the 1 minute and the 5 minute charts, right? During consolidation periods. But once he's interested in a trade, then he's staring at the level 2. He's not looking at the charts anymore. He has the price levels in his mind, right? He knows what key levels he's interested in taking a position at and what type of price action, like if there's a contraction or something before he takes a position. That's what he's looking at. His charts are context for him, and level 2 is what he's primarily trading off of, in my opinion. Just from like I've watched him for 6 or 7 months, and there's several instances I've noticed where he just has his charts out to Narnia, and I'm like, how do you even trade without the charts like that? Sometimes he just doesn't care about it. Notice that sometimes he doesn't even auto his charts. His charts weren't autoed to zoom out as prices increasing. So his charts the candles were like off screen. I think Charts Watcher is a better option for people who want to save money and they don't mind going through the hassle of setting up their scanners and maybe not understanding how they work. If you're a beginner, you can afford it and you just want something fresh out of the box, plug and play, and you want to trade exactly like Ross, I think Day Trade Dash scanners are good for that because you don't need to worry about fiddling around with it. They do it for you. And they develop new scanners if they feel like they need to develop new scanners. But it is very expensive compared to Charts Watcher. And there's no customization. You get what you get. You either trade like Ross or you don't. The Charts Watcher is good for saving money because it can do most of the things that Day Trade Dash can do for a cheaper price. But you have to configure it. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now, Devin. By removing the 10-second chart, I'm forcing myself to use the level 2 to find my entries as part of my development as a trader. Because when the 10-second chart is there, I can't, like, it's hard after building a habit for such a long time, it's hard to find the willpower just to not look at the 10-second chart. You find your eyes going there. Just a quick peek. What is it? What is it? What's it doing? So I might bring the 10-second chart back at some point, but for right now, I think I'm going to keep it off screen and I'm going to try and trade off of the level 2 in the 1 minute and see if I can draw those charts in my head as it's happening. And I'll sometimes I'll swap my 1 minute to the 10-second to check and see like, oh, did I miss a pullback here? Because I wasn't reading the level 2 properly. But it's definitely not easy for a beginner to do. It takes some practice. How long did it take me to configure it? It didn't take me very long. It took me like a couple hours and some testing. I don't have a tutorial, but I have my export import config in my Discord I made a video showing my layout. There's also export import configs that are available, just presets that Charts Watcher provides that are supposed to be very similar to the Day Trade Dash scanners. You can just import and take a look at the settings. And there are some other people that have posted tutorials online how to set it up. So you don't necessarily need to set it up yourself. You can just import from other people and then use their setup. Yeah, no problem. Like if I screen share, I could probably just screen share here. Display capture. Open up this dashboard. So marketplace, or sorry, no, what is it? Home. It's probably under home. I have a Discord community. Where is it? I saw it here just the other day. Dashboard, configs. Okay, it is marketplace. Yeah, they have all of these import configs here that you can you can do. So Warrior, Day Trade Dash, Hive Day Momo, large cap top gainers, after hours top gainers, Day Trade Dash layout, you know, breakdown or breakdown, Warrior Trading running up, any stock running up. I have all this stuff here that you can just import. So you don't really need to set it up unless you want to change certain settings. You can change the colors and stuff yourself if you want. But how do I make it so that every time I take a trade, it doesn't switch back over to my broker tab? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. If you're taking a trade, then you're already clicked on your broker tab, right? Because you're using your broker to take a trade. No, I don't like trading stocks below $1. It did seem to be holding the 9 EMA very well here, 40 cents up to 60 cents. But they're usually very grindy, slow movers that carries a lot of exposure risk. Because I have to take large share size to make anything out of it. So if I take 400 shares with like a 5-cent profit target, there are occasions where it drops down like 10, 15, sometimes even 20 cents very quickly. And because I have a larger share size, it ends up risking more than I intend. I'm not very good at trading them. But that is a pretty nice move, I will admit. Breaks high of day, retests, moves up, retests. Probably take a position off of the second retest of the 9 EMA and then just hold until an exit indicator. 36 up to now 70. That's pretty crazy. When I was having Chat GPT to try and explain it every time. Oh, well, whenever you so you're using universal hotkeys because I mean take like I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, but take this for example, right? If I have Charts Watcher open and I'm clicked into Charts Watcher, my trade 0 won't allow me to take a trade. Like if I click a hotkey, it's not going to take a trade because I'm clicked into Charts Watcher, right? The only way for me to allow it to punch through a hotkey is if I clicked trade 0, but then it minimizes Charts Watcher, right? So it always opens the application that you're clicked on over the other one. The only exception would be, I think, if you used universal hotkeys. So universal hotkeys means that it will execute no matter what application you're clicked in. However, I think that would make it so that your computer considers you to be like clicking into the application when you use a universal hotkey. Probably the way to do it would be to have the chart, like here on my display, for example, have them open simultaneously so that when you're using the universal hotkey, it doesn't consider it to be clicking on, or well, it'll still consider it to be clicking on it, but whenever you click on the other platform, it's not going to like overlap and cover the other one. I don't know if there's a way to disable that. It's probably some sort of Windows setting. I don't know. Yeah, no problem. I'm not sure if I was very helpful there, but I do my best. If I switch over to use the Charts Watcher charts, you mean, over Trading View? Do I think Advanced or Pro is better? You heavily use a 10-second level 2. Well, I think the Advanced is better for its price because I think the Pro version doesn't, like, the benefits aren't worth it for most people for the price. The extra added price. Like if I look at the Charts Watcher pricing, um, it's not here. There we go. We'll go to the pricing. So if I go to the pricing here, right? The Advanced to the Pro is an extra $30 Canadian. You get tick-based charting refresh rate over 250 millisecond chart refresh rate, right? I think 250 milliseconds is enough. I don't think you need tick-based charting. And on TradingView, I even use 1 second charting refresh rates, right? Like I don't even care very much about this refresh rate because I'm using level 2 to enter positions. I don't need the chart to be refreshing instantly because I'm not staring at it constantly when I'm in positions or I'm taking positions. I'm looking at level 2. I don't need this. Advanced gives 10 dashboard screens, Pro gives 20 dashboards. I only use like 2 to 3 dashboard screens. So there's no reason, like the upgrade is kind of useless for me. 20 windows per screen. I don't have 20 windows per screen. I have like one, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe with charts it would be like 10 per screen. I don't need 30 windows per screen. I don't use watch lists. Uh, 25 alerts and top lists, it's plenty. Color configs, newsfeed, 10-second, you get 10-second charts here. No time limit, dark theme. I mean, there's like the extra back testing doesn't really matter. You're not back testing constantly, or I'm not. So the advanced or the pro plan for me is not worth it. Like paying an extra $30 isn't worth it because I don't need any of this extra stuff, right? Like they don't matter to me. Even from the starter to the advanced, like we're paying an extra $30. The reason why I pay for the advanced is for the export import configs and for the 10-second charts if I want to use them. But technically, if I'm not using 10-second charts right now and I was able to config it on my own, then you might not even need the advanced plan. You could go with the starter plan. Right? 4 dashboard screens, yeah, that's fine. 15 windows per screen, yeah, that's fine. 10 alert, 10 topless, I don't have that many. 2 newsfeed configs, I only have 1, I don't need 2. Back testing of the last trading day, sure. Up to 50 table rows, I don't have 50 on any of them on mine. So yeah, I mean, from starter to advanced, I think is the choice, and it's if do you use 10-second charts or not, and do you want to go through the trouble of making your own or not, right? That's my opinion. Well, Canada, so this is converted to Canadian dollars, right? So US it's 50, you multiply 50 by 1.4 for the conversion rate, and it becomes about $70 when you factor in the conversion rate. So most of the software is in USD, so we're paying an extra 40% as Canadians usually. Like Day Trade Dash, for example, is $197 USD. For Canadians, you multiply that by 1.4, we're paying $280 for Day Trade Dash if we use that. Pretty expensive stuff. UNRX dumped. Yeah, looks like there's no reason to stick around anymore here. Nothing interesting. Everything's going sideways or it's a penny. Another penny moving. All right. I think I'm going to call it here. So we got a small red day again today. I took the stab at the trend break for QNRX. We're still learning these wedge patterns. So I'm going to have some losing trades when I trade them. That's fine. I just wanted to see how it works out. Minus $8. I suppose I would have been break even today if I had traded QNRX with smaller share size, since it was a bit more of an experimental trade, but I did think that this would work, right? We had the candle fill the wedge, a nice green 5-minute candle, and then we broke the wedge. But just didn't have any volume, I suppose. I'm not sure. We're going to keep observing these wedge patterns over time. So it just happens that I traded with bigger share size on the trade that didn't work, and I traded smaller share size on the trade that did work. Otherwise, we would be break even. So another red week this week, 2 red weeks in a row. Pretty much took a nosedive on our P&L. We were looking good on uptrend, had 3 good weeks in a row. Then we took a nosedive and we're back down at the lows, I think. But okay. We're still learning, so. But yeah, I think I'm going to shut it down here. Thanks everyone that stopped by today. Hope everyone has a good weekend. I'll be back at it again on Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, as per usual. Have a good one, Chimera, Martin, Carter, and everyone else. See you on Monday. So keep trading, take care, manage your risk, and we'll see you next time.